Here at Michigan Family Wellness, we believe chiropractic care and nutritional-based therapies are a foundational part of a healthy family lifestyle. No matter where you're at in the mitten, having a family is such an exciting time of life. So instead of feeling overwhelmed by stress, fatigue, and responsibilities with the kids, we invite you to become part of this empowering community to create happy, healthy families. By providing engaging interviews and practical applications, Dr. Wallner cultivates family health by equipping our listeners with the tools they need to elevate wellness in their own family. Dr. Wallner passionately serves the Michigan community at his chiropractic and nutrition-based practice, where he specializes in pregnancy, pediatrics, and family wellness care. And now, here's your host, Dr. Kyle Wallner.
Good day, families, and welcome home. That's right, my name is Dr. Kyle, and this is the Empowering MFW family, and we are so glad to be with you today. If you are joining us for the first time, I want to thank you for tuning in. The health of you and your family is your number one priority. It is your greatest asset. The best way to have a healthy family is by living a family wellness lifestyle. So, if you're looking for efficient, effective, and sustainable ways to elevate your health and the health of your family, then I strongly recommend you make yourself comfortable because we have an amazing show for you today. And before we get to today's episode, let me say a few words as I do every week about Power Performance Gym. Power Performance Gym is dedicated to helping you achieve your best definition of healthy and strong. Power Performance specializes in strength and conditioning for individuals, small groups, and athletic teams, weight and pain management, as well as recovery and nutrition. Everyone at Power experiences a full movement and health analysis to build your blueprint for success, targeting your goals. Mention the Michigan Family Wellness Podcast to receive your movement and health analysis as a complimentary gift. Learn more about how Power Performance can help you move, look, and feel better by visiting powergym.com. That's POWRGYM.com. Natalia Mendoza is a wife and mother of two little girls with a passion for health and wellness. On this empowering episode of the Family Wellness Podcast, Natalia shares her family struggles with their health and how clean, filtered, refined water has played such a major role in elevating their family wellness lifestyle and their overall health. All right, families, let's jump into today's episode. All right, families, well, welcome to another empowering episode of the Michigan Family Wellness Podcast. I've just told you guys a little bit about Natalia. Natalia, what does family look like for you? I'm married and I have two little girls, a 5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. Awesome. That's brilliant. I really appreciate, especially sometimes it's often very helpful for listeners just to be able to connect with someone on a relational level and be like, hey, there are people just like yourself out there who are looking to elevate their health and wellness. So I really appreciate your time this morning coming on the podcast here. You know, the second question we always ask our guests is, we're smitten with the mitten here. So do you have any connection to the great state of Michigan, or have you ever visited, anything like that?
I've never been to Michigan. I live in Canada, and I've only been to about a handful of places in the U.S., so Michigan's not one yet.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, Natalia, here's the thing. The context for our discussion today is we have such a toxic load in our busy lives, correct? Not only are people stressed out with the food that we're eating and, trying to limit our exposure from the chemicals, the preservatives, the roundups, the glyphosates, the herbicides, everything that's in our food. Okay. But here's the reality. Not only do we have to get macronutrients and micronutrients from our food, but we also have to have really quality hydration when it comes to our water and filtered water. And I'm not going to bore and inundate our listeners with just the myriad of problems that we have with our water, especially here in the States. I'm not sure what the context is like there in Canada, but especially here in the States, we have very high levels of heavy metals in our water. If a lot of people might remember the Flint water crisis. In fact, that's an ongoing crisis. People with heavy metals in the water, fluoride, for example, and even just the constant findings of exogenous estrogen in the water. So I'm really happy to bring you on here today in terms of different practical applications, the different things that families can do to really get the cleanest quality water. So to start with, in terms of your story and in terms of how you got kind of involved with searching for clean quality water filtered solutions.
Yeah, so in Canada, it's about the same. Our water is very contaminated. So that's why a lot of us, we flock to bottled water because we think, it's a healthier alternative. There are a lot of things about bottled water that we're not aware of. Bottled water, it could have been sitting in that plastic for, up to 2 years before it even hits store shelves. So it's leaching out all the chemicals from the plastic. So it's still not free of plastic. On top of that, most bottled water is filtered through reverse osmosis, which a lot of people also, see reverse osmosis as a good filtration system. And it does have its place in areas where there's contaminants in the drinking water that are just completely unsafe and undrinkable. And the only way to kill it is through reverse osmosis. Mm-hmm. But because it will kill, pretty much all contaminants, but it's also going to kill all the naturally occurring minerals. And water needs its minerals. So demineralized water is considered very aggressive water, and it's going to suck up minerals from anywhere it can. So if you're drinking demineralized water, it's going to suck up minerals from your body, or if you're cooking with it, it will suck up minerals from your food. So it's not typically ideal. There's a lot of health concerns related to demineralized water. And so my family and I, when we started our search for better drinking water, we've had our system for about 2 years. Before that, we were fairly healthy and into holistic living. And throughout the years, whenever we would research just our health and how to better our health, it mostly came down to having an alkaline diet. When we heard about this water system, my husband heard about it. He was sold right away because the water is alkalizing. We were sold right away. We bought it pretty much immediately. And we started to notice a lot of changes in our own health, such as we weren't getting sick so often. Before that, we were, like I said, we were fairly healthy, stayed away from a lot of processed foods and processed sugars and fast foods. But yet we were still getting sick, at least once a month. We were pretty much down and out. And we were always on different high-end supplements. So we didn't quite understand why we were still sick. After we started drinking the water, we noticed that wasn't happening. We weren't getting as sick as we used to. Right. So the water, it played a big difference in our health and just the quality of the drinking water. So we weren't getting the chlorine in it anymore, and it wasn't acidic anymore, because bottled water is actually acidic as well.
Yeah, brilliant. I love everything you're saying there. Just wanted to give a little bit more information for our listeners. So especially as it relates to the bottled water, correct me if I'm wrong here, Natalia, but primary chemical that might be involved in terms of exposure is a lot of the BPAs, or what's known as bisphenol A's. These are commonly found in plastic products, can linings, and actually a lot of people that are tested by the CDC here in the US, I have a stat here, more than 90% of the people tested by the CDC were found to have bisphenol A in their bodies. And like I said, a lot of that comes from just the plastics that we're exposed to, especially the plastics that are from the bottled drinking water. In fact, the number one source, if I'm not mistaken, is if you're a cash register or someone that works, with a lot of those receipt papers constantly, and you're always touching the receipts, you're getting a lot of BPA exposure from those plastic papers. But the other thing I wanted to ask you about, and again, let's just kind of zoom out 30,000 foot view. Can you explain more about alkalinity and acidity in the context of the body? And what we want, what we don't want, and what all that means. Because I could imagine someone might be listening and they're like, what does that mean, alkalinity? So explain that for us.
Okay, so the pH scale. So we want our body to be balanced. Our body has about a 7.4 pH. And so we want to keep it balanced. 7 is considered neutral. Anything above 7 on the pH scale is alkaline. Anything below is acidic. Typically, the Western diet is very acidic because we're eating a lot of meat and dairy and processed foods and sugars, and those are all very acidic. What we want is to be eating more alkaline foods. So, leafy greens and raw vegetables and raw nuts and seeds, just so our body can have the proper balance.
That's a great explanation there. And I think there's a lot to be said for, in the same way that you want to do the right adjustment at the right time, at the right level, in the right sequence. So to use an analogy with chiropractic, for example, you really want to make sure that you have, you mentioned the pH scale, you mentioned acidification and alkalinization. So certain tissues in the body you actually do want to be, one way or the other. So the stomach, for example, great example. I like to use this with certain educational conversations. You actually want the stomach. The stomach produces its own stomach acid, which is a very low pH. It's supposed to break down the proteins, break down the fats and the carbohydrates that we have. So you want that to be on the low end. If it's not, you can actually have pathologic issues with stomach dysfunction, or certain conditions like a hiatal hernia where the stomach will start to blip up, above the diaphragm. So physiologically speaking, you do want certain tissues like the stomach to be a little bit more acidified. But then, further downstream with our digestive tract, yes, to your point, you do want those tissues to be more alkaline, because that's where the enzymes work better. That's where our bile comes in from our gallbladder. So we have these certain areas of the body that can really benefit from more of an alkalinization context. And we get there by drinking more of a higher pH water. Does that make sense? Does that resonate?
Yes. Yep.
You were experiencing an elevated health experience, by using more of a higher quality water solution. Is that fair to say?
Yes. So there's another quality that the water that I drink has that bottled water and filtered water don't have. And it's that, bottled water and filtered water is actually oxidizing. So a lot of us know about antioxidants. We love antioxidants because it makes us healthy. It's really good preventative. So we like to eat a lot of food with antioxidants. But if something's not antioxidizing, then it's oxidizing. It's damaging our cells. It's causing us to age. And they have a little meter that tests out whether something's oxidizing and antioxidizing. And bottled water and tap water are very oxidizing. That goes along with the water I drink it's rich in molecular hydrogen, which is created through the ionization process. And so I think that has a lot to do also with why we had our health improve so much, is because of the antioxidants in the water.
Yeah. And can you explain more about how that works? Does that get into what's known as the electrolyte reduced water? So again, that's different, for our listeners. This is different than your tap water. This is even different from filtered water, that kind of just like drips through a filter context. Kind of explain to our listeners what's actually happening to the water that we put into our solution.
With the machine, your tap water goes through the machine. It's sort of, I guess, electrocuted. So it's kind of like if a lightning was to hit water, it restructures the water. So there's an electrical charge to our water, which is how we get the electrolyzed reduced water.
Yeah. Okay. So then by that process of electrolysis, or that you talked about the analogy of, let's say if lightning were to strike, a body of water, it's ionizing it, it's purifying it, and it's creating a very healthy source of, I have to correct myself there, technically dihydrogen monoxide. For my little chemistry brain there. But yeah, so essentially it's taking your tap water in terms of a home solution. To really break this down for people, it's taking your home water from the tap, filtering it through a highly refined, highly scientific process of electrolysis to produce a very clean, pure, and ionized form of water. And then using that in conjunction with things like healthy eating, organic food, grass-fed, free range, all these different things that we do, on our own with our food, combining that with the water is a great approach to, even further elevating your family wellness lifestyle. All right. So in the context of a family, you have everyone always going to, the sink or the tap for, their water source, essentially, unless you're buying, filtered water from the store, which I understand some people do, because this is an area of concern. We have to be drinking clean, purified, and healthy water. But in the context of bathing, in the context of, taking a bath or taking a shower, it's honestly the same unfiltered water is, coming up from the pipes into our homes there. Talk more about, are there solutions offered to be able to do different soaks in a healthy way and to bathe in a healthy way? Because that same water is still going onto our skin and our tissues.
Yeah, absolutely. If it goes on our skin, it's going to be absorbed into our skin.
Right.
So I recommend just an in-home filtration system, because it will take care of the contaminants in your drinking water and your bathing water. If you don't have a home filtration system, even just getting a chlorine filter for your shower, it helps a lot so that you're not absorbing chlorine into your body. And then, even in regards to bathing, there are different soaks you can do with Epsom salts or or bentonite clays, and just to kind of detox the body.
Yeah, so let's go there. That's brilliant. I like to meet people where they're at. So, for example, if someone's incredibly, let's say, unhealthy, maybe they have a higher BMI, they're trying to lose weight and things of that nature, I may not tell them to go out and, run a marathon day one. I'm going to have them work up to that essentially. Same thing with their adjustments. We're not going to overwhelm their system with, all this motion all at once. So in the same way, what I tell people is to, really do what they can. Honestly, if it's just filtering their water, with a standard commercial filter, honestly, that's better than nothing, So can you talk more about the solutions and the practical applications that you recommend to families that you work with?
I would recommend, even if a person had to choose between, say, bottled water and tap water, I would recommend tap water because it has its naturally occurring minerals, but to get a good filtration system that will filter out the contaminants but not remove the minerals. And then that goes along with the shower too. I would recommend getting at least a chlorine filter to remove the chlorine.
In terms of other practical applications, is there anything that you recommend to people, whether it be, using Epsom salt soaks for musculoskeletal aches and pains, things of that nature? Do you have anyone boil their water at all or anything like that?
I don't have anyone boil the water, but I do like Epsom salt baths, and bentonite clays is a good for pulling out heavy metals too. So even just soaking in a bath with a little bit of bentonite clay in it, that will help detox the body as well.
Great. So you just basically take like a spoonful or something and just throw it in there, or kind of what's your protocol with that?
Yeah. Well, for a bath, I would put more than a spoon, maybe a cup or so.
Okay.
Some people will even drink like a teaspoon of bentonite clay. If it's a good pure kind, they'll put it in there, will help detox the body. And then otherwise, Epsom salts in your bath. Yeah,
like you were saying earlier, this is such a great point. Whatever you put on your skin, it's honestly like you're eating it. So especially for muscle aches and pains, I tell my patients to do this all the time. Soak in a cup of Epsom salts, 2 cups of Epsom salts in a bath. You can certainly add bentonite clay to that. Sometimes I'll add even baking soda to that. That also has a basic effect on the body and alkalinizing effect on the body. So there's all these great things. Then if they happen to have any essential oils as well, adding some essential oils can really be beneficial for a parasympathetic response to help someone kind of really calm down, after a hard day or a long week or whatever it might be. So awesome. Well, Natalia, thanks so much. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today. Where can listeners go to find more about yourself?
We have a website. It's called staystrongh20.com. So staystrongh20.com. That's where we have all of our information about the water that we drink, and our contact info is on there as well.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today.
Hey, thank you so much.
All right, families, what'd you think? We'd love to get your feedback. If you would like to email me about anything you've heard on this or any previous edition of the Family Wellness Lifestyle Podcast, you may do so by writing Dr. Kyle at MichiganFamilyWellness.com, and take full advantage of the Family Lifestyle audio library at MichiganFamilyWellness.com. Connect with us on social media at Michigan Family Wellness. Thanks so much for tuning in, families. Have an awesome week, and remember, we can do far more together than we could ever do apart.
Now that you've been equipped with the latest in family wellness solutions, we want to encourage you to apply these strategies right away. But the thing is, there's still so much to learn. Connect with Dr. Wallner's Chiropractic and Nutrition Office by going to MichiganFamilyWellness.com and click the newsletter sign-up button to join the informative and supportive community of chiropractic wellness. You will also receive as a gift from Dr. Wallner a copy of Michigan Family Wellness Solutions, an invaluable resource containing dynamic tools to elevate family health and vitality. Michigan Family Wellness wants to thank you for being part of today's podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and give us a 5-star rating and review.